All right, there we go. Hello everyone, how's it going? Tim here, and this is BxJS Weekly, episode 119, bringing you all the best JavaScript news of the week in a podcast form. And it's going to be another one of those small-ish ones, because I guess the world is just going crazy, so there's not that much stuff happening, and we don't really have that many articles, news, and even libraries, which is, I guess it's fine. Hi, Vitanius, welcome to the stream. Okay, so as usual, the starting section is getting started. We got 3 articles here today, starting with kicking Node into high gear for data processing or how to hire 100 cats to catch a mouse. Now, the title might be slightly confusing, but it's actually super straightforward. So the article talks about the running stuff in parallel and running it concurrently in Node.js, with, the comparison of sequential runs, concurrent and parallelized runs. So if you are doing any data processing, and like anything really that can be parallelized, and you don't know how to do that correctly, then this article does a pretty good job of explaining what exactly you can do and shows exactly, like, very, how do you put it? I forgot the word. It shows in a very descriptive manner, basically, that parallelization of your execution can save you, well, up to 50 seconds in this case, which is just insane. So from 51 seconds in sequential execution to 1 second in parallelized execution, which is pretty great results, to be honest. So there you go. If you are curious about how to do that, then do check out the article. Hey Gregors, welcome to the stream. Hey Srivinas, welcome to the stream. Hey Marina, hey Anish, hey Dirkwin, welcome to the stream. All right, continuing, we got a deep dive into React Context API. So this is, just as it says, an explanation of what the React Context API, how it works, and when do you want to use it. So if you're just getting started with React and you are not sure why and when do you need React Context, do check this out. It does a pretty good job of explaining that. And the last article we got here in the Getting Started section is how to handle errors in Express.js. Again, a pretty nice tutorial on simple, albeit, on how to handle the errors during your Express workflow. Even though you typically, like, the thing is that, most of people now use async await, right? And if you use modern framework like, say, Fastify, it actually handles those errors for you most of the time. Obviously, they're not going to be as nice as, handmade errors, but they're still quite decent. Now, Express doesn't actually do that, so if you use async functions as a handlers and try to use await without catching errors, Express is just going to fail. So you're not going to get anything good back. It's just going to die silently, and that is annoying. And this article essentially goes in depth in showing the possible ways of actually handling stuff like this, trying to figure out what you can do, and, how exactly do you process the errors like this. So if you are working with Express, if you're working with async await and wasn't sure on how to handle errors, do check this article out. It's actually pretty good. Okay, that's it for Getting Started section. Just 3 articles today. Articles and news section is potential, it is even smaller, but the articles here are not exactly that large as well. So the first one we got here is Alfred, a modular toolchain for JavaScript. This is kind of part article, part introduction to the new tool/library that is called Alfred, and it's called itself a toolchain, but it's essentially a tool. Yeah, I guess toolchain fits. So it's a set of tools that allows you to simplify the process of using other JavaScript tools and sort of serves as an alternative to boilerplates and starter kits, which sounds like a nice idea, but I don't know. It looks interesting on part, but another part is it means that you basically have to learn a different set of tooling, right? So instead of learning about the Webpack, Babel, and so on and so forth, and how to configure them, you would have to learn how to configure Alfred, which might be simpler. So the gist is that you have this Alfred config that has the list of skills, and those skills are essentially presets that do something for you. Like, for example, there's a skill ESLint that automatically sets up ESLint for you, so you don't have to set up anything. You just give it the ESLint config, and it does everything else for you, which sounds convenient. But then again, it still means that you have to learn and understand how the Alfred itself works. Nonetheless, the Alfred looks like an interesting idea, so I'm not sure I would use it. So I would definitely try to play around with it, that's for sure, because it looks quite interesting. It also seems like there's quite a bit of neat things here. Again, you know, this kind of notion of simplifying and unifying the tooling is quite interesting because we already had an announcement very similar to this, but taking the different approach. I think it was a year or 2 years ago from Sebastian. Oh, man, I'm forgetting his last name. The guy who made the Babel initially, the Rome, right? So there was the Rome JS. What was his last name? Sebastian. Was it Mackenzie or something? I think it was. I like Sebastian. Oh, come on. He doesn't have his last name on GitHub. I know that he has it on Twitter. Right? And his last... No, he doesn't have it on Twitter anymore. But I think it was Sebastian Mackenzie, if I remember correctly. Anyway, he built Babel, and now he's building this Rome thing, which is also JavaScript toolchain. But instead of, you know, relying on the Alfred kind of approach where you have to compile your own workflow, I guess, right, using plugins, Rome aims to be sort of all-in-one tooling that has all tools you might ever need and doesn't have any third-party dependencies or doesn't rely on any third-party code, which is, you know, kind of different to Alfred, but still similar in the thought process, I guess I would put it. Anyway, it's quite interesting. So if you are interested in things like, you know, the unified tool chains that can do everything for you, then Alfred does seem promising. Again, I don't know how it will turn out in the long run. So this is, the project is on GitHub, so you can give it a try. There's a bunch of skills already existing, such as linting, building GitHub pages, and everything else. It does seem pretty nice. But yeah, I would need to try it to give you more thoughts on that, essentially. But if that sounds interesting, do check out the article. And the last article we got here in the article section is Stop Mocking Fetch. What? Fetch? No, not a word. Stop Mocking Fetch. The article that talks about testing your React code specifically and mocking your API client or mocking your fetch, and why that is actually not a very good approach. And what to do when you actually want to have something leaner than end-to-end tests and when you don't want to run the backend, but still something better than mocking fetch and trying to account for all the possible cases. So the gist is that mocking fetch is actually not as straightforward as it sounds, because you actually, first of all, you want to make sure that the fetch request is executed, so the request to server is sent. And second of all, the request has the correct shape. So it has the correct headers, it has the correct authorization, it has the correct, I don't know, body, whatever. There can be a ton of different things, right? So if you do that for a complex app, you would end up writing your own essentially small library that does this, which is, I mean, I guess it works, right? And a lot of people did it this way, but it's not very convenient. And essentially the article goes to say that there is a better way of doing it. And in this specific case, it talks about MSW, which is a mock service worker, which is a service worker that allows you to essentially intercept the fetch requests and mock responses based on what you do. And then there's just a small tutorial that shows how exactly to do that. And it looks really nice. So I typically, in my test cases, I usually use knock, which basically intercepts or taps into the node HTTP module and allows you to shape your responses based on requests. It works, at least, you know, for my cases, work pretty nice. But MSW also seems like a very cool library, so maybe this is more up your alley, and maybe this is exactly what you were looking for. So if you're doing a lot of unit testing, do check this one out. Maybe this is exactly what you needed. All right, that's it for the articles in news. Now we're coming to the tips, tricks, and bit-sized awesomeness. The first thing here being the book Deep JavaScript from Dr. Axel Rauschmeier is now available on his website for free to read online. So if you, for whatever reason, couldn't buy it or was, you know, figuring out if you want to buy it or not, now you can just go online and have a look at the contents, or even just read it online for free in HTML version and then buy it if you think that this is a good book. Again, in my opinion, most of his books are amazing, so I would just go ahead and buy it. I have a couple of them in the EPUB format, which is, you know, I think, yeah, I don't think this one is an exception, basically. But if you had any doubts or if you don't have any money to buy them, here's your chance. Just go and read it. It's pretty good. Continuing, we got nice demo app, I guess, which is cool for two reasons. So first one, it's a nice demo of the WebBluetooth Scanning API that is currently experimentally available in Chrome on desktops and Android. And the second reason is that it actually taps into or I guess explains how the newly released Corona Warn app from the German government works. So if you never heard about it, the German government released this COVID Warn app that is Corona Warn app as well. That basically, you can install on your phone and it will use the Bluetooth to track the nearby devices and warn you if you ever was in a contact with someone who is later diagnosed as the coronavirus positive, right? So you can go and check yourself and make sure that you are not infected. And as well, if you get infected, you can basically press a button in the app and say, hey, I was infected. And it will notify everyone who was in contact with you that, hey, you might want to get checked because there's an exposure possibility. It works over Bluetooth, and apparently it's really easy to actually listen to the, there was a source button over here. It's really easy to listen to those notifications using the JavaScript Bluetooth API. So this is exactly what the app does. It basically starts a very simple exposure notification scanner. There's apparently a specific Bluetooth service ID that it uses, and then it just listens for the data views and shows them in the web view. Again, as I said, two reasons I think it's cool. The one is it demonstrates how the COVID-19 exposure app works, and the second one is that it actually shows in a very simple manner how the web Bluetooth scanning works, which is kind of cool. So if that sounds interesting, do check it out. It's a pretty nice one, yeah. Okay, and the last thing we got here is the GitHub Super Linter. So that's, GitHub is announcing the Super Linter, which is mostly a thing for the GitHub Actions, right? So the idea is that it's sort of one linter to rule them all, and you don't have to think about setting up your own linter or anything else. As long as you have your own linter config in the repo, this thing will pick it up and run the linting in the correct linter, doing whatever the hell you want, right? So the idea is that super easy to set up, runs on the full code base, doesn't need any additional configs, and so on and so forth. It sounds like a nice thing. So again, there's a list of linters it currently supports. It is quite extensive. So there's like linters for everything, starting from CSS and JavaScript, going to Golang, CoffeeScript, YAML, whatever you can imagine. Basically everything is here. And it's really easy to use. So you literally just say that you want to step that lint code base, and it uses the Docker GitHub Super Linter, and that's it. And then you can enable, disable linters, like specific linters if you don't want to lint some parts of the code base, for example, which is kind of neat. So if you're using GitHub Actions, do check it out. It seems like a very nice way of to lint things, basically, speeding things up, because you no longer have to install linter yourself in your repo. I probably should try it. It probably could shave off a couple of maybe even minutes from some of our repos, because the installing ESLint with all the rules does take quite some time. So there we go. Right, now we're coming to the releases section. We got 4 of them here. First one is the Puppeteer version 4.0. And the big breaking change here is that Puppeteer no longer uses node event emitter library, so they actually replaced it. So if you relied on the events that it emitted, make sure to change that stuff and rewrite it to the new methods that they are using. And yeah, there's a bunch of minor new features. So this mostly the version 4 is due to this drop of the event emitter library from Node, and the replacement of it with the MIT. I never used it before, but I think I've heard about it somewhere else. But anyway, it's just, another emitter library which behaves slightly differently. So make sure to check this if you are upgrading. All right, next release we got here is Bootstrap 5 Alpha. Finally, it is here. The very first alpha of the Bootstrap 5 that's been in development for, I think it's literally years right now. I think it's probably like more than 2 years even. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of things here. Probably the most exciting one is that they actually dropped jQuery, and now everything is just good old plain JavaScript. They also added support for custom CSS properties, and there's also like a ton of updates to the visual look and feel of forms, and there's like utilities and enhanced grid system and a whole ton of really cool things. So the Bootstrap 4 has been, well, really life-changing for me, I guess, because, you know, as a person who's really bad at CSS, Bootstrap 4 allowed me to do at least something that looked decent. And now that, you know, I got a bit better and I can use something like Tailwind to make things look according to the designs I get, I still think that Bootstrap will find its place. I mean, it looks really nice. The default design is very nice. They have a very nice color schemes, and the fact that it no longer relies on jQuery means that there will likely be Bootstrap React, Bootstrap Angular, and so on and so forth that are way more flexible and way nicer and smaller than what we had for Bootstrap 4, because you no longer have to rewrite the jQuery methods. So there we go. Hey, Smarter Brute, welcome to the stream. All right, anyway, Bootstrap 5 Alpha, if you're interested, do check it out. It seems pretty damn cool. I cannot wait for the full release to give it a shot and see how exactly would it work. Right, next thing we got here is Parcel 2 Beta 1 is released. So it seems like, you know, we're getting closer to Parcel version 2, which is one of the tags that I'm pretty damn excited about, because Parcel 1 was nice, but it has a lot of like caveats, bugs, issues, config problems, some other things that basically stopped me from using it, but I did like the idea. Seems like Parcel 2 is going to be fixing a lot of that and improving in a lot of areas. And the beta 1 includes 20x faster source map builds than it previously had, which is just mind-blowing. And as well as some other, you know, cool things such as bundle reports that are now more accurate. And yeah, you can basically just go ahead and try it. And I cannot wait for the release of the final version to just go ahead and try out the Parcel version 2 and see if I can use it in my day-to-day projects, because again, I personally really like the zero config approach to things. So this is why Parcel 2 and Roam are two tools that I'm really excited about and cannot wait for to be, you know, released to the production essentially. Okay, and the last release we got here for today is Kleur version 4.0. So, you know, it's not much changes here, but the cool thing is why I wanted to highlight it. So if you haven't heard about Kleur, it's the command line coloring utility that basically allows you to do fancy colored text in the command line that is really, really fast. But the cool thing is it actually adds the native ESM support with exports map for Node 12.8 and 14. I think this is one of the first modules, like first relatively popular modules, let's put it this way, that I've seen out there that are now have native ESM support. And this is why I wanted to highlight it. I'm just really excited about that. I've already written a couple of relatively small-ish Node projects using ESM, and it works fine so long as you know, you have all the modules that actually work with ESM, because there are still some cases where it doesn't. But yeah, it's really exciting to see that happening, and it's really cool. How is Kleur different from Chalk? I think it's basically just faster, like a lot faster than Chalk. So yeah, so it's essentially, well, okay, no longer that much faster than Chalk, but still faster. So there we go. Anyway, I think if you're using Chalk, you should be fine as well. But I just, you know, again, the only reason I'm highlighting this is because it's added ESM support, which is, as I said, really exciting to me for whatever reason. I cannot wait for the whole ecosystem to migrate to ES modules. Again, I don't think it's going to happen in the next couple of years. It's probably going to be a very slow process, and it's going to be a lot of pain in the ass with the compat and everything. But yes, I am really excited about ES modules, and I really want to start using them. But unfortunately, right now, it's not exactly viable in some cases. Anyway, this is it for releases. Now we're coming to the libs and demos. We do have quite a few of them here. Some of them are really cool. Others I have no idea about, but they look interesting. So let's get started. The first thing here is Testing Playground. This is a really neat playground that allows you to play around with the testing library or testing libraries and see how exactly your tests execute and how do they basically pick things by running code and visualizing what exactly is happening, which is really cool. And it also has the suggested changes that you can do to your test to actually improve it, which is really damn nice. So if you're working a lot with a testing library and you wanted some sort of a playground, do check this out. It is actually really damn nice. Next thing we got here is xgenecloud. It's the API generator, or I guess REST and GraphQL API generator for any database. Currently supports MySQL, Postgres, MS SQL, SQLite, MariaDB, and Aurora. And yeah, just as it says, it basically takes the schema and generates the either REST or GraphQL API for you using that schema from your database. Seems nice. Again, you know, I think after trying Hasura out, I would probably go for Hasura. But again, Hasura is strictly tied to the Postgres. But the flexibility of the events and actions that it introduces probably overtakes what they offer here. And again, if I would generate APIs from existing databases, I would need to rely on something like MySQL or Maria or any other SQL database. I would probably go with GraphQL Compose, which is just gives you more customization power. Let's put it this way. But if you just want to generate the API one time and then forget about it, then this might be a really nice tool. So do check it out. Okay. Continuing, we got deno-cef, the Chromium embedded framework for Deno. So we already had the Deno WebView plugin, I guess, that allowed you to run the WebView that is from the current OS, right? That was very small, very lean. This is a bit heavier, so this basically will add the whole Chrome embedded framework, but it allows you to run the full Chrome embedded framework and interact with it from the Deno app, which looks really damn nice. You look a little bit like Jack Black. I think someone already told me this on the stream, like if I remember correctly. But last time I had like a longer beard. But thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. I think he's a really cool guy. I wish I could sing as well as he does. Anyhow, continuing, we got the ModJS, a JavaScript module for KeyDB and Redis. So yeah, it's just a nicely looking client that allows you to interact with the KeyDB and Redis. If you're working with them, I think like Redis is my preferred way of interacting with Redis, but this also looks quite nice. It also seems to be the C bindings. Maybe this is exactly what you wanted. I'm not sure. Do check it out. Anyway, that's the thing. Continuing, we got powir. I'm not sure how to read that. It's spelled Powir, and it's a Windows 10 based tool to monitor and analyze your system's power and battery usage. And it's built using Electron, which is, I thought what was basically interesting about it. So it basically allows you to get nice graphs for, the battery life estimates, your power consumption, battery usage, and so on and so forth. And all of that is done within Electron and in a very comicsy interface, I guess I would put it. It's not Comic Sans, but there's still something very iffy going on with fonts. It looks nice. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it's just this sketchy feeling about it. Sketchy in a sketch manner, not in a bad manner. But anyway, if that sounds interesting, do check it out. You can try to use it yourself, or you can see the source code to see how exactly it was built. It does look quite nice. Okay, continuing, we got svguitar, I guess. svguitar, so it's a SVG guitar chord charts, SVG guitar chord charts that are relatively easy to create, has a nice JavaScript API, and yeah, you can basically just, if you are planning to do anything with guitar chords, then this seems like a very nice library to render them. So there you go. Next thing we got here is streamwall. Display a mosaic of live streams built for streaming. So yeah, it's just essentially this sort of web app that allows you to watch multiple streams at the same time. Honestly, not sure what the use case would be. So the one that they are showing here is this sort of monitoring the people live streaming the protests. I guess maybe this is a tool for reporters and stuff like this, or for people who try to investigate things and monitor stuff that's happening right now in real life. Probably has limited users. Probably I'm not the target user group for that, but yeah, you can earn a lot of stream coins on many channels. What is a stream coins? I'm probably, as you can see, I'm not a, target demography of this. So I have no idea what is going on, but hey, if you can earn coins, then whatever. Okay. Do like this. Okay. I have, highlighted the mess. Oh, okay. So this chat doesn't actually show it, but the Twitch chat shows that you highlighted the message. Okay. So I guess it's the new Twitch thingy that you can do. But anyway, so that's the thing, and it looks nice. I guess it will be useful for some cases. So if that sounds interesting, do check it out. Again, probably would be interesting to see how exactly it was built to accommodate all of those different streams in one screen. It also seems to be supporting the different stream sources. So I see the Twitch, I see the YouTube, I see the Facebook. So it seems pretty damn powerful, to be honest. But yeah, anyway, seems like a nice project. Okay. Continuing, we got bpmn-server. So this is the business process something modeling server that allows you to do that stuff. I never worked with it, so I have no idea what this is, to be honest. I remember Googling this term and it was like business process model and notation. There you go, that is it. So sort of the business process diagram builder, I guess, is what I would sum it up. Again, this is totally out of my area of expertise, so I have no idea what this is and how does it work, but it seems like just a chart builder with like specify for business logic, I guess. Looks pretty cool. So if you're working with this, do check it out. Maybe you were looking for something like this. Yeah, anyway, that's all I can say about that. Okay, continuing, we got beautiful React hooks, another collection of beautiful and hopefully useful React hooks to speed up your components and hooks development. Just as it says, like a bunch of hooks, there's like a whole ton of them. Most of them are, something you can find in quite a lot of other collections, such as use global events, use media query, use online state, use drag, use timeout, and so on and so forth. So if you were looking for yet another collection, do check it out. Maybe this has everything that you wanted. Okay, next thing we got here is Mongo Shell, or I think the title of the repository is actually mongosh. I'm not sure that you read it as mongosh. I guess it's mongosh. So it's a MongoDB shell, which is essentially a REPL, which kind of mimics the way that you work with Mongo using the official Mongo shell, right? But it has the auto suggestion, it has the auto completion, it has the nice rendering for the results. It allows you to write the JavaScript functions for map, reduce, inline, and so on and so forth, which actually seems really helpful. So if you're working a lot with MongoDB, I should probably start it because I do, then do check it out. It seems like a pretty damn useful tiny thingy. Okay. Continuing, we got jedlik, DynamoDB ODM for Node.js written in TypeScript. So if you're working with DynamoDB and was looking for ODM, then do check this one out. It actually looks pretty nice. I have not worked with DynamoDB up to this point for whatever reason. I'm not even sure why exactly you need that, but there you go. So if you're working with it, do check it out. Maybe this is a library that's going to simplify your life. Next thing we got here is escalade, a tiny and fast utility to ascend parent directories. So yeah, it's just, the directory traversion library specifically for going up. Not sure what the use cases would be. I did not have any projects that would use that, but obviously there are use cases if this was built. If you needed something like this, do check it out. It seems pretty damn nice. Again, super tiny, just a few bytes and really fast as usual. Yeah, so if you were looking for something like that, do check this out. Right, next thing we got here is Midori, a library for animated image backgrounds. So again, I don't know what the use case would be, and it basically creates the animated background from a static image, which look really damn nice, so I give it that. You probably don't want to overuse that, but it does look really damn cool. And yeah, uses WebGL and everything, and it's just a very nice looking library basically. So if you ever wanted to create a very fancy background using WebGL and some effects, do check this one out. It actually looks really damn cool. Again, don't overuse that. How do you find all this? I usually find them on... So I follow like Twitter, I follow Reddit, I follow a bunch of sources on Feedly. And whenever any of you guys on the Discord share your stuff or, you know, stuff you find. So this is basically my 4 sources. Okay, continuing, we got docx. Easily generate docx files from JavaScript or TypeScript with a nice declarative API. Works for Node and in browser, which is really cool. So if you need to generate the Office files, the specifically docx files, declaratively and create, I don't know, invoices, forms, or whatever the hell you want, you can do it with this library. It seems to have a very damn nice API. Like, you'll just look at this stuff and it's like, you know, seems very, very convenient. It would be cool to have this as a JSX library. There's probably docx render for JSX as well, now that I'm thinking. I think I've seen one at some point. But yeah, this looks pretty nice. So if you need to generate docx files, do check this one out. It looks pretty damn good. Okay, and the last thing we got here for today in the libraries section is the helipopper. It's an Angular library for tooltip and popover components that has a ton of features and supports like lazy evaluation, manual triggers, custom templates, and disabling of tooltips and long tooltips and so on and so forth. So, you know, it looks pretty powerful. So if you're using Angular and you needed a tooltip library, do check this one out. Right, that's actually it for Libs and demos. So the last thing we got here for today is this ridiculous announcement that you can now play Valve's classic Counter-Strike 1.6 in web browser. So some crazy people took the Counter-Strike 1.6 source that leaked, I assume. Again, I'm not sure, maybe this is a completely rebuilt implementation of it, but I'm guessing this is what happened. I'm guessing they just took the source code for it that was leaked from Valve, like the old one. They compiled it to WebAssembly and they allow you to play the game in the browser. So if I click connect here, it does take quite a bit to load the whole thing. So like it will take some time to download and parse and execute all the resources because there are a million of them. But once it's done, I'm not sure how long it will take to run it the second time. Once it's done, you will literally get to play Counter-Strike 1.6 in your browser without... Oh yeah, it's actually, there you go. So we're going to go with auto select and look at this. It works amazingly well. Like it's 60 FPS. It works without any problems. You can use all the features. You can you can play Counter-Strike 1.6 in your browser. Like how damn awesome is this? Like just look at this. Anyway, I'm not going to play it right now, but it's just really amazing. The fact that this was achieved by, I am assuming just basically compiling it to WebAssembly, which is also kind of awesome. And yes, it does need like the latest browser that supports the latest features such as WebAssembly and other stuff such as, you know, Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, or Microsoft Edge, the new one. But yeah, the fact that this is a thing is just freaking great. Okay, that is actually it from my side. So if you guys have any questions, suggestions, or you want to share your own libraries, feel free to throw them into the chat right now. If not, we can just wrap it up here. As usual, you can find all the links that I've mentioned during the stream on the GitHub or on bxjs.dev. If you want, you can follow me on Twitter. I do occasionally tweet about software development and video games, and mostly it's just like retweeting stuff and shitposting. You can also join our Discord if you want to talk about anything JavaScript or video game related. You can follow the Telegram channel that I have where I collect the unfiltered links. I mean, mostly lately it's been actually just the links that I use because there hasn't been that many of them. And yes, episodes are getting smaller, but there's nothing really I can do about that. Just people are producing less content right now because there's more important things going on in most of the world. Let's be honest here. I'm just hoping we're not gonna get alien invasion in August or something like that. So so we can actually starting to slowly go back to the normal speed and velocity of those episodes. But yeah, all right. Doesn't seem like we got any more questions or suggestions. If you want more content, you know what? If you want more content, produce more content. Create a new library, write a new article, and send it my way, and I will include it into the next episode. There you go. This is how we solve it. So everyone who's watching it, go write something, send it to me, and I will just cover it during the next episode. Perfect plan. And then you will watch your own content. That sounds like a terrible idea. Anyhow. All right, guys, that's it from my side. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your continued support. I hope you enjoyed the podcast and found something useful. Again, join the Discord and chat with us. Have an awesome rest of the weekend or rest of the week if you're watching the video of this. Thank you very much for watching, and I see you next.